Hello, welcome to Working Dragon Mystic, where we talk about real, metaphysical, and occult knowledge so that you can manifest real and tangible change in your life. Today, we're going to talk about mead and bottling mead more specifically, so stay tuned. Okay, so we have had an interesting day here at Working Dragon Mystic. We just spent 2 to 3 hours shooting a mead bottling video for you all. In fact, the basic simple mead that we have been making, and I am sorry it took us so long to get here. That said, we was having a massive issue getting the angle we needed in the kitchen. So we attempted to move it into the living room where we shot the very first in the series. Pretty much all that footage is useless except a few sections in the kitchen where it actually shows us actually doing the bottling transference of the mead. And the reason for that is it's just too dark. In that lighting, it looked bad. It did. So yeah, the footage, it's not really usable. But we can still do this. So honestly, if you saw our racking video, which I will make sure the racking video is up here, the process is the same. Once you have your mead and it's stopped fermenting and you've racked it off a time or two, which we're doing a quick and simple mead, so we only racked it once. And you're sure it is done fermenting. And you do that by taking your gravity reading. And if you can go 2 weeks without the gravity reading changing, you know the fermentation has stopped. In this case, it stopped. Honestly, when we racked it, it was showing 0.030, I think it was. And when we racked it during the video, or when we took the sample to check the gravity in the video, it was the same thing. So all it's been doing for the last 2 or 3 months has been settling and clarifying. And honestly, it looks gorgeous. Now our final product actually looks like this. Now this actually looks a little cloudy in the bottle, and that's because honestly if you want it to go super clear, you're going to have to keep racking it. That, and due to the lighting and angle issues, I had to move the bucket more than I wanted to, which did stir it up a little. Now, as you can tell, this is a corked bottle. And this is a easy to do starter mead, and you probably don't have a corker. And that's fine. In some of the footage that is still usable is actually show the corker in action for those who might want to see that. But I also want to give you a few options to bottling that doesn't require a corker, because unless you're actually making this a full-time hobby and you're going to be doing large, like 5-gallon batches like what we're doing with the multi-berry mead, which I promise the follow-ups on those are coming. Holidays have killed us for the mead making. Then you can just find bottles that you can recycle. Now, one option a lot of people do, if you buy your water in like this more square jugs, you can actually just put it back into that jug. It won't work to age, and you'll need to use it quicker than not. So, but for a small 2-gallon batch, you could have mead with your dinner 2 or 3 nights. And you'd go through it relatively quickly. That wouldn't hurt. Another option, you can go to the gut rot section in your local liquor store and hopefully find one that you can use as a mixer, and you can use those bottles. Now this is military special bourbon. It ain't good. It's not a good bourbon. Makes a great mixer and great for cooking, but you don't want to drink this straight on the rocks or anything. It's not really good that way. So that's an option. Now, if you do have access to like the military package store or commissary where you could pick up the military special brand. I won't lie. If it's a clear liquor, they usually do a pretty good job. I know one person who likes their gin, and I actually do enjoy the silver tequila. I know a lot of people's probably falling off their chairs right now and going to send me hate mail for liking the tequila, but it doesn't make a bad margarita. It really doesn't. So that's an option. Like I said, we just use this for cooking and mixers, so I did have one on hand. So that's a perfectly good option, and what I like about it is a durable plastic container with a plastic top that you can just screw off. Now, the major difference in the process between just racking and bottling is you need to be able to control the liquid. Now, it is possible to just use the racking tube and crimp it, but it can get messy. I won't lie, it will get very, very messy doing it that way. So what I have to help me is I bought it's called a racking cane, essentially. And all this is, it's a little glass tube. Your racking tube would fit on this end, and then this end has a little seal. And when you put it down in the bottle, you press that seal down, and the liquid will flow through. Now this one's spring loaded. They do have them that are not spring loaded. They just use the pressure of the mead coming through. I don't find that those work as good for me personally. They tend to leak or get jammed and they don't close up as well. So I do recommend the spring loaded ones. But the whole ideal is you take your empty bottle and you will place the racking cane in and you depress the spring on the bottom and the mead will start flowing in. Now, as you'll see hopefully in the video we was able to save, the mead is going to come up to about here. And it'll fill relatively at a reasonable rate, so you have to keep an eye on it. But once it gets about here, you can release the pressure, it'll stop the flow, and when you remove the racking cane, the level of the mead will drop to there. And that's about where I like mine. Some people try to get more mead in there, but that's where I like mine. So you just kind of got to get the feel for it. In the case of your gut rot bottles, same thing. Just try to get the mead to about here and remove the racking cane. In fact, the top of this bottle is bigger than the wine bottle, so your gut rot bottles will be able to hold a bit more. Honestly, I'm a little surprised by this mead. It came out really, really well. In fact, before we talk about how it came out, let's go ahead and throw up the clip of me actually racking into the bottles with the bottling cane. Okay, we had to change shots just to get the gravity more. Either that or cut my hose, and only got one hose, so I don't want to cut it. So as you can see, this is filling the bottle nice and quickly. Now as it gets closer to the top, the bottling wand is designed to give you the correct amount of headroom. So I'll stop about there, for example. And that's really all there is to bottling. I'll go ahead and finish up the other three and I'll get back with you. Okay, so as you can see, the flow was reasonable, and once it got to the top, you lift the cane up, it stopped. And we did that with 3 of the wine bottles that we had on hand, and then the rest of it went into the gut rot bottle. And I'll go ahead and here you'll see the corking clip. Okay, so this is what a corker looks like. It's just a large tripod. The bottle sits here. The cork goes in here. When you pull the lever, it compresses the cork and shoves it into the bottle. Like I said, this thing didn't cost me all that much, considering how much I use it. So, I do sanitize my corks. And I've made sure this is all wiped down. You put your bottle in, make sure it's loaded. And I prefer synthetic corks. Some people don't, I do. And that's it. That bottle is corked. So if you do get into this hobby and you enjoy it and you plan on doing larger batches, just like the 5-gallon batch of the multi-berry mead we did, I do highly recommend getting one of these if you plan on doing corks. I know they have the handheld corkers, and a lot of people use those. But I had one for one batch, and I stopped using it. Because I can cork an entire 5-gallon batch with this in minutes, as opposed to the 30 to an hour it took me with the handheld. So I guess that might be a preference. Anyways, I'll see you back at the table. Okay, so now you don't need a corker. That's if you, like I said, if you decide to make it more long-term hobby and everything, a corker's really handy, as I mentioned in there. And when you're doing a 5-gallon batch, oh, does it save time and helpful. Now, this mead, one of my favorite things about the gut rot bottles, they're easy to use right away. One reason we do keep these gut rot bottles is because when we're bottling, we get to the point where we know the last couple bottles or whatnot's either going to be extra cloudy or we're not going to have a full bottle. So we'll use something like this to transfer into, and we use the term brewer's bottle because this is what we'll drink from first. Now, if we end up with a bottle that, like, let's say we think we don't have enough and this fills up, we'll close it. And then we'll grab another generic bottle. The generic bottle that is not full, that's the one we drink from first. This would be the next one. Save our long-term bottles for aging if we can. I doubt any of these will really age because this is such a small batch. One of the bottles we'll save because the wife's away from home right now, and I definitely want her to try it. Now, it is cloudy, there's no doubt, and that's all because we did move it. Now, if I was going to do like a competition mead, I'd rack it more and get as much sediment as I could out. Small batch, you're going to lose some mead every time you rack it, so that's why I didn't. And we're not really shooting for a competition mead, we're just shooting for something we like to drink. And really, if you wanted to, at this stage, you got mead, you could just serve it out of the bucket if you think you're going to use it all that night. Don't drink 2 gallons of mead. Please drink responsibly, people. But let's try it. That's good. That is a really good mead. I'm actually surprised. Well, surprise shouldn't be the word, but as simple as I kept it, this actually came out for my simple meads. Probably the best yet. The honey's definitely there. It has a really good flavor on it too. Ooh. I'm going to have to look back and see what honey I used on this. But the flavor I'm picking up on the back end, definitely the raisin. That raisin's really coming through on that. That's you usually don't pick up the raisins. That's really good. Yeah, I like that. Okay. I might actually have to go back, use this recipe on a 5-gallon batch. That's really good. Now, once you get it bottled, if it's in something like this and it's full, just keep an eye on it and go buy it I'd say for the first 2 weeks at least, every other day, and kind of twist it and see if it hisses. If it hisses, your fermentation wasn't fully done, or it didn't degas enough. Which degassing I usually do. This one honestly had just set for so long. It didn't need degassing. I checked it for degassing, which that footage again was lost. But we'll try and figure something out for the multi-berry mead. Even if I have to buy a new light or something, we'll figure something out. And all that does is get the extra CO2 out. So even if it's done fermenting, if there's any extra CO2 in there, that can cause pressure. But if you degas it, not a major issue. Now, if you degas, you can't bottle and degas the same day, in my opinion. Because to degas it, you're stirring that mead up. You are agitating it in order to get it to foam up and basically go flat like you would a soda pop. So once you do that, you gotta let the fermenter sit and settle out. And I usually let it settle for another week before I go ahead and bottle. Some people say a day or two, or even the next day. I usually try to wait a week to let it settle. So we'll just have to see how the multi-berry mead goes. Because it's been in there a while, and we still got to add the fruit to it. And once the fruit's added, I don't know if the yeast picks back up. We'll just have to see how it goes. But this mead, this basic mead that we've been going over for a few months now, turned out really, really well. And if you're making mead along with us, you may have already pulled yours before we got to this bottling video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't, go check it. It should be about ready, and it should be drinkable. And just use any bottle you can, but do make sure you have a way to release the pressure, because unless you're sure that fermentation is done, then you got to be a little careful. That's the reason I prefer plastic bottles for simple meads like this. And honestly, for my meads that I'm going to age, I use a stabilizer to stop fermentation. It's an extra step, but it's a step that I take for my own peace of mind. And when we get to the multi-berry mead, that's also a step I'm going to be showing for those who want to know how to do that. This was just for bare bones mead. And I hope you all enjoyed this video series. If you all would like more mead videos, perhaps different recipes or whatnot, let me know. And we'll see if we can get them up here. Right now, getting the angles and shooting them, it's tricky. I won't lie. These are the trickiest videos I've had to shoot. But if there's an audience for them and y'all want more mead videos, I'll do them. I did actually get requests to do the one bottle garage mead that my buddy does. I might shoot that. I might actually shoot that video, because honestly, the way he does it's so simple. Yeah, it'd be silly because it's basically a step down from what we done here. But I have got some requests for it, and Nitro was more than happy to be willing to give me the recipe. I may even see if I can get him on camera to show him making it. So we're considering making that. And if y'all want to see it, drop a message below. Let us know that you want to see it, because it's pretty much 1 to 2 water bottles. It's a very self-contained mead, dirt cheap. You don't get any cheaper than that one. So if y'all really want to see that, let me know, and we'll see what we can do. And as always, please like, subscribe, share the video. Also, we're doing a live stream now every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So join us for that. If you have mead questions, the live stream, you can ask any question you want. So if you have a mead question, by all means, jump on there and ask. I don't care what the topic is I'm talking about that night. I'm usually going to be talking about my research and what I got going on. But I love to talk mead, so if you got questions or heck, you got a suggestion for me when it comes to home brewing, I jump in there. Let's talk. I love to hear from y'all. We are still doing the Magical Coffee Hour on Twitch as well. That's Sundays at 8 p.m. No. Yep, that's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, again, join us over there. Again, I'm sorry for how hectic and chopped up this video was due to the footage we lost and everything, but I wanted to get the bottling video to you as best as I could, and I've already bottled it, so I will be doing another bottling video for the multi-berry mead, so hopefully that whole process will go through smoother and we'll get a better video. But I saved what I could, and I shot this to fix the parts we missed. So I hope it worked well, and I got to figure out something to do about the jet noise and the lighting, because jet noise I can cut out at night, but then if I'm filming downstairs I lose all light, so I don't know. We'll figure that out. Anyways, I'm Drake. This has been Working Dragon Mystic. I'll see y'all next time. Bye bye.